All right. Speaking of Bob Nalbandian, I know that you received your Inside Metal DVDs this week. So did I.
I received two sets, or two versions. I received the ones from Bob, which I am immensely thankful for, and I received the one that I bought, which was I'm going to give away on the show, but I bought it just to support.
Sure. And then he sent a bonus DVD.
He did. What is it called? Metal Messiah.
Metal Messiah.
Yep, I'm holding it right now.
I have not had an opportunity to view that yet. I just got it yesterday.
Yeah, I just got mine today, so I have not either.
So I'm not exactly sure, but if Bob wants to call into the show and talk about the Inside Metal, the LA Metal Scene Explodes.
Yes.
And tell us a little bit about what this Metal Messiah thing is, because I have not had a chance to really explore it yet.
Yeah, I looked at it, and I don't know what it is, but it is made by the Metal Rock, the same company.
Sure.
So I'm assuming it's fairly new.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'm interested to know what that's about as well.
But Bob's life has been consumed with filming and, editing and doing all these interviews and putting together these worthy documentaries.
Right.
So you can go over and pick them up. They are available at, like, Amazon and places like that.
Mm-hmm.
I saw some people responded to your post about it. It's like, where can I see this? How can I see this?
Yeah.
I wasn't even aware.
Everybody always looking for the free way out.
Sure.
What are these, $12? Just buy it.
Yeah. Just go get it. It's a worthy set. If you're a metalhead and you enjoy that kind of thing, you would definitely enjoy that.
It's definitely better than that Sam Dunn stuff.
Oh, easily. I mean, it's not that I have anything against Sam Dunn, but I think Bob is more raw.
Yeah, I do. Sam won't come on the show.
He won't come on the show, or just because he hasn't accepted the invitation?
He hasn't accepted the invitation.
Okay, so it's not that he said, I'm never coming on your show.
No, I don't even know. I mean, I've talked to Sam before, and he was like, yeah, I'll come on, and he never did.
Sure.
What the fuck is Nalbandian?
Has he done anything, Sam, lately?
Not that I've seen. He has like his own banger TV or something now. His own knockoff of Eric Braverman.
Okay.
Where he does like reviews and shit. But I have not really checked it out much. I think it's like a subscription-based thing.
Okay.
Like, nah.
No, thank you, sir. So it's not like heavy metal television where you can just go to it and start playing it.
Not that I'm aware of. I don't know. I honestly have not investigated it.
Okay.
I saw it. I saw on like Blabbermouth or something that he was doing like an interview or something, and I turned it on for like a minute, and it was like a real cheesy interview. So I was like, I'm out of here.
Okay.
And that's it.
Well, a guy who doesn't do cheesy interviews, a guy who does legitimate shit, is our good friend Bob Nalbandian.
Yes.
Oh, you actually know that I'm on the phone right now.
Of course.
You guys, Jesus, can I spend just one Saturday night alone listening to the fucking CMS without having to call in and talk to you?
You know, Bob, this is the platform that gives you the most exposure of anybody, and it's the most genuine platform that you'll ever encounter, and you should be grateful, giving us both hickeys. that would kill a horse.
That would kill a horse, huh? All right, I don't know where that came from, but I'm sure the CMS listeners would like to know an update on the Shoes Mom. So why don't you share with us that, dear Neely?
What do you want to know?
That's it. So you're talking about Metal Messiah.
Well, tell me what that is, Bob. I got this in the mail yesterday, but I haven't had a chance to explore it. What
that is? That's actually it's quite a funny movie. It's one of the guys. I have nothing to do with that. Warren from Metal Rock wanted to send that as a bonus, and he asked me. You know, I had given him a cover letter months ago. The mail out was supposed to be done a month ago. It's supposed to be done before the DVDs actually came out. But we had a situation, with DVD 2 they came out separately, like a couple months apart, and there were some problems with the distributor getting DVD too, or whatever the fuck. So we got that coming in late. So he finally got the mail out done last week, and he decided to add in as a bonus the Metal Messiah. But I have nothing to do with that movie. It's a funny movie. It's one of the guys I spoke to the guy that directed it. It's a spoof, and it's been out I think it came out last November actually.
Okay, what is the premise?
You got to watch it. It's
again, I didn't watch it, but I'm going to watch it probably tomorrow.
It's about a guy who forms a satanic metal band, and he meets this chick who's a born-again Christian and falls in love with the chick, and she converts him into a born-again Christian.
It sounds like Chris's love story.
Well, basically, it was based on the life of Chris Aiken.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
It's quite a funny movie.
So do they get divorced in the end? And does the guy sit at the edge of a ditch ready to blow his head off? Is there anything in there about that?
No, well, I don't want to spoil it for you guys. So,
but if you want to read that
have
story,
to watch to find out.
Yeah, that's not in this one. But if you want to read that story, Little Victories, it's out now.
Does the guy?
By the way, I love the book.
Does the guy go off to become a successful mogul in the pinball industry?
No, he becomes a successful mogul in the couch industry. He's sitting on his couch and fucking doing absolutely not a goddamn thing.
Nice.
The difference between a mogul and a moogle.
Right.
I mean, could there be more of an opposite than a mogul and a moogle?
Right. Bob Nalbandian, metal mogul. Yeah. Moogle is just a guy who sits on the couch and plays video games.
Metal mogul messiah. How
right, exactly.
There you go.
Right. Neely, you interrupted something very important.
Okay.
Bob, please continue saying how great my book was.
Oh, dude, the book is fantastic. I highly recommend that to any CMS listener that hasn't read the book or ordered the book. Even if you fucking hate Chris Aiken, I think you'll still like the book. Even
it didn't depress you?
It is a piece of shit. You will still appreciate the book. No, it's a fantastic book, dude. I just want to let you know. And you could use that as a quote too.
Thank you.
well, even though you weren't foolish enough to get married at any point in your life, Bob, you still appreciated the story.
No, he's talking about the new book.
This is Call Me Chris.
Oh, you're talking about the new book. Well, even though you haven't been burned up in an industrial accident, you still enjoyed the story.
Yeah, I thought Little Victories was fantastic too, but I definitely think Call Me Chris is a step above, writing wise, and just as a writer, dude, both books are fantastic. But I could really see that you're able to really let loose and really talk about your inner feelings. I thought it was a fucking great book, dude.
He's blossomed like a festering boil.
That was the term I was looking for, blossom. You blossom, but it sounds too gay to say that. So thank you, Neely, for
well, you do live out in L.A. sometimes, Bob, so it's okay. You sometimes eat a late breakfast at a swishy restaurant.
Yeah, that's right, Neely. There's absolutely no gay guys at all in the Chicago area, correct?
Well, I don't go to Chicago, so at least I try to avoid it.
You don't want to get your fucking ass blown off.
You're right about that.
I would rather go into West Hollywood and have my cock sucked by the guy and get my ass blown off. And don't repeat that, but if it comes down to getting your dick sucked or getting your ass blown off, well,
I'll take the lesser of two evils.
You know what? I think I have finally heard good rationale to being gay. I've finally heard it.
And I know you're going to be using that fucking quote or fucking your fake producer Wheezy will be using it for something.
Right.
I don't want to give Wheezy any ideas.
Exactly. So
what's on the show tonight?
Well, we've been just shooting the shit, Bob. We had a really stellar show last week, and
I've been hearing all the podcasts. I've listened to it. I thought it was quite exceptional.
We were having a good time last week. Our good friend Leather Leone from Chastain called in, and she was quite a firecracker, and revealed a few very what do you want to call it? Lesbo-centric ideas, Chris?
Yeah, I think she likes the puss.
Yeah, I heard that. We actually interviewed her for the San Francisco documentary as well.
Nice.
She had some good things about the old, and I wasn't really aware that she was that huge a part of the old Bay Area metal scene. She used to be in that band Malibu Barbie.
Malibu Barbie?
She was in that band? Was she the singer?
Yeah. No, I think she played. She was a singer because they had a dude thing, and who we also interviewed. Actually, my buddy Danny Shipman, was doing some interviews for me of people in the Bay Area, and they actually had a guy singer for a while, and then an all-chick band, and then she, I believe, replaced them. But yeah, she was singing, and you know what? And then they changed her name, and then she was in that band after they changed their name. So I think she joined at the tail end of Malibu Barbie, and then they became something else, and they got like a deal. They were working with Perlman, Sandy Perlman, I believe, and
what years are we talking here? What years are we talking?
We're talking 81. This has to be like 83, 82, because this is where Metallica was still playing the clubs. Probably just about when Kill 'Em All got released. So I would say probably late 82 into maybe 83, 84, she was doing that. So, which I wasn't aware of. Danny brought that to my attention. I didn't know that she was. I know David Chastain. She had worked with him, obviously, and he was a Bay Area guy for a while, one of Varney's guys. But yeah, she's been around a long time.
Yeah, somewhere around here in this mess of an office, I have an old, and I mean really old, handwritten demo of Malibu Barbie.
Oh, wow.
And it's got to be from that era. It's got to be like 82, 83, because it's a handwritten cassette.
Check that out. See if it has if Leather. I don't know if she's going by Leather Leone then, but
I don't know. I will check that out because I had no idea.
See, there you go. I'm educating Chris again.
There you go.
Well, that's why you're the director of the excellent documentary series known as Inside Metal.
Yes. Well, thank you.
So
I'm glad you guys finally got the DVD. So that's cool.
Yep. So where are you at tonight, Bob? Are you still in the Bay Area?
I am in Sacramento. I was never living in the Bay Area. Sacramento is about a 2.5 hour drive there. So I was just going out there like on weekends doing interviews. Couldn't afford to live in the Bay Area and can't really afford to live in L.A. That's why I'm staying here in Sacramento. I've got a nice place out here, and I'm paying half in rent, and so it's good. But I think I can't remember who in the chat room mentioned, but they asked if I was going to that Hair Nation concert down at Irvine Meadows, and I definitely do want to go. I've got some passes pending, but it's just a matter of getting out there and making the trip out. I've been going out to L.A. about once a month, so I do want to go down there for that show because I believe it's going to be the very last show at Irvine Meadows, and Irvine Meadows was probably out of all the venues, one of the main stomping grounds growing up in Orange County, and seeing Maiden there so many times. I saw so many shows. I mean, at the band I managed, Eden, we'd open for Dokken and Great White there in '86.
Yeah.
When Dokken was at their prime, and we, that was the place, Irvine Meadows back in the day. So,
yeah, I've seen many shows there myself.
Yeah, I love that venue. And
so what are they going to do? Are they going to plow it over and turn it into condos, huh?
Yeah. Well, Irvine is one of the ritziest. I think it's one of the most expensive areas in all of the U.S. as far as property value goes, and so they're gonna, just develop the fuck out of it, apparently. So
is Pacific Amphitheater in Costa Mesa still around, or is that gone too?
You know what? That it is still there. They only do shows during the fair, the Orange County Fair. Like I believe Scorpions played a couple years ago. It's mostly classic rock bands. They don't do too many hard rock bands. It'll be like Journey or the Doobie Brothers or whatever, Santana. But it's only during the fair because they had a problem with the sound, and that was a great place too. I saw tons of shows. I saw Aerosmith and Guns N' Roses there. I saw Dio open for Aerosmith there when Holy Diver just came out. So yeah, I saw a lot of great shows at that place. But yeah, they stopped doing shows there years ago, probably back in the 90s, because of people complaining, because there were houses right by there, and then they were going to tear it down, but they just left it up there, and they just do specifics there and concerts during the Orange County Fair, because it's on the Orange County Fairgrounds.
Well, you got to admit, Bob, you got to be grateful that you and I and Chris, we were all kind of raised during that era at the height of some of the greatest live music performances ever, because every time we talk to like somebody like you or even a musician or whatever, we discuss things that happened back in the day that basically are never going to be repeated again, but we were, lucky enough to be a part of it at some point or another.
Yeah, I always say that all the time. I mean, sometimes we take it for granted. I mean, me growing up in Huntington Beach, and just during that era, I mean, I saw Metallica's very first show at Radio City, in front of 40 people, if that. I saw Slayer as a cover band at Woodstock. Was my old club I used to go to all the time, and we would hang out with, James and Lars and Dave Mustaine and Ron McGovney in the parking lot how many times with all these different, bands. And even Caton was around back then, and there was a small group. Gene Hoagland, he was like 14 at the time, and small group of us Orange County metalheads. And I saw U2 at the fucking Woodstock Club on their very first tour, and there was maybe like I think Jack Russell talks about it in the first Inside Metal. There was just like less than 20 people at that show, and I walked out on them. and it was because it was I just remember it was curfew. I was like 16, and I had my mom's car, and I had to be back by midnight. But did it have the wood on the side? Was it a wood station wagon, Bob? No, it was actually a 77 Mustang V8. It was actually pretty damn cool.
Nice. Your mom drove a Mustang?
Yeah, she did. And then I ended up buying the car off her, I think, when I was 18. But yeah, Woodstock, Radio City. We saw, Accept play there. I mean, Wasp. All those LA bands. Motley Crue, Snow. They all played the Woodstock, Radio City, Rat. So I didn't even have to go to Hollywood all the time. But the Country Club. I mean, yeah, we saw the greatest shows. I saw the very first, some of the very first Guns N' Roses show, and when they just sucked. And I saw fucking Poison, and I thought they were the biggest fucking piece of shit. And you still do,
and they still are.
Never wondered why whatever happened there, and that was just the beginning of because and what really sucks is that, and that's why I kind of try to portray in the documentary. The LA scene wasn't really glammy and bubblegum until Poison and all those bands came in. I mean, even Rat and all those other bands were pretty heavy. And Dokken, I mean, you listen to the, George Lynch stuff, Paris is Burning, and, all that stuff. A lot of them were old Exciter songs. I mean, it was heavy. So it didn't really get all glammied out until, 86, and that's kind of why we cut the Inside Metal a timeline off at 86. But yeah, did you guys have a chance, Chris? I don't know if you actually saw part 2 yet. Did you, of the movie?
I have not seen part 2 yet. I will be watching it. Yeah, I figure the Browns game will be out of control by about 8 minutes in, so I'll probably be watching by about 1:30 tomorrow.
Part 2 is definitely the better of the two. It's just got better quotes and stuff in it. I think. But again, like the first movie, Pioneers, we can put it all into one DVD. So it does confuse people that both 2-volume sets. It's not a separate movie. It's the same movie. It's just like, one long extended 3-hour movie basically made it into 2 parts.
No, dude. Well, from the ones that I've watched so far, which is the first 3 discs, it's fantastic. It's absolutely killer, and I'm not sucking your dick just to suck your dick. I mean, it's really what I like about it and you know this about me, Bob. I'm such a fan of that early stuff. As a Midwest guy, I don't know most of this. This is what developed into the shit that I ended up liking at that time, which was, Rat and Motley and, et cetera, those bands. But, being in the Midwest, I don't remember Snow. I don't remember Steve Plunkett before he was in Autograph. I don't remember,
I don't even remember a lot of that. Yeah.
That is such a... for me, anyway, it's been such an eye-opener to see how these bands became what they became and how these guys that, I was first discovering in the pages of Rip or Circus or whatever, these guys, none of them were really that new. They had all been kicking around for a decade, it seemed like.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people, people think when they pop up on MTV or whatever that was, like when Motley Crue first showed up on, they were all, Nikki Sixx had been playing in London for, about 3 years before that or so. And,
right.
Tommy Lee, not many people knew Tommy Lee and Joey Vera were in a band together with Greg Leon, and Sweet 16s. And, there was, all different formations of different bands back then. And, but no, the musicianships the musicians were around for a while. And that's why, when they did finally work out the right chemistry and the right band, they, took off so quick because they were all seasoned players. They had all been, playing the club scene. I mean, shit, Y&T yesterday and today, they had been playing the club scene longer than Van Halen, Right. There was a concert I watched on Wolfgang's. I don't know if you saw it, Y&T from 1974, the Wolfgang's Vault. Just amazing. Yeah, and that's 74. I mean, think about that. That was, when, Zeppelin was putting out, a physical graffiti before physical graffiti, and Deep Purple, Stormbringer or whatever. I mean, it was like during that whole era of classic, hard rock. These bands were doing it just as local bands. So yeah, it's a lot of history people don't know about, and it's not a entertaining movie in the sense of the drama and the tragedies and all that kind of stuff that people want to see or that excites people in those, VH1 behind the music kind of stuff. This is more just a basic historic, documentary about,
Yeah, but the truth is everybody, the people that you would care about, with that backstage drama shit, that's all. Every one of their stories has been done. We know the backstory behind Dokken. We know the backstory behind, I don't know, the two sides of Kiss,
exactly.
Or Van Halen.
I agree 100%. I didn't want to make the same old movie, and I think it's, again, this is more for the uber fans. I mean, I was always a big, huge purist when it came to hard rock and metal. I was always about the music more than anything, and I always got pissed off when bands were, getting big because of their image, when it took away from their music and they started kind of selling out and softening their sound for radio, and I wanted just to get back to the roots of the band and just let the artist tell the story. I mean, everyone's heard about the fucking groupies and the blowjobs and all the other stuff, let's just get to the core of, and I think especially with LA more than any other scene, I think got because it's Hollywood is all about the glitz and the glamour. It's the entertainment capital, so that of course is always going to take precedence, and the musicianship will always take a back seat. But I mean, you look at some of the, look at the guitar players that came out, from Eddie Van Halen to Randy Rhoads to George Lynch to Yngwie Malmsteen got started in L.A. He wouldn't have been nothing if he didn't come out to L.A. and play with Steeler. That's how he got noticed. So, the musicianship was extraordinary and super influential, worldwide. So that's what we wanted to portray, more or less, is that, yes, LA did have the glam and the glitter and the bullshit and all that kind of stuff, but hey, it had some great music and some great musicians behind it as well. And there's more to the story than, what you see or hear on MTV or any of these, VH1 type documentaries. So we really wanted to get to the source and tell the most extensive story about the LA scene.
Yep, definitely. Well, hey, I got a question for you too that has nothing to do with these movies, and you may not have any knowledge about it, but are you? I know you have you obviously have a good friendship with John Bush. Do you have any knowledge at all about this live record that they're doing?
Yeah, it's they're doing a pledge music thing, which I think is great. I think it's great that the artist could finally take control, and do it themselves. And a lot of people look, and I know Neely's spoke a lot about people that do the stand back and the GoFundMe and this and that. Yeah, for certain things, it's ridiculous. People just trying to get money for whatever. But for a band, an established band like Armored Saint, that aren't making money off record sales, and this is giving the fans an opportunity, something special. You want to, you pitch in, we're going to give you something special. We'll give you a DVD. We'll throw in, we'll autograph it. We'll do this and that. And it's not like they're charging, $700 or whatever as a meet and greet or whatever. It's like you pay for the DVD, you get the CD, you get it directly from us. We'll, send it out to you, autographed, and give you some bonus stuff. And at least that way they get paid directly. They don't have to split it with a record company, with, a distributor, with a retailer, or with anything. They pick 100% of it. I think that's great. I mean, I think, more bands are going to kind of do that route because, bands should get paid for their
sure.
work and their effort, Absolutely.
Exactly. Well, the question I have, and I looked at it, I actually did look at it, and I might actually, I'm going to be honest, I might actually plunk down $100 because I want the handwritten song lyrics. I saw that Bush is putting out the handwritten song lyrics from Win Hands Down, and I was like, fuck yeah, I'd love to have that as a collectible. That's a pretty sweet collectible for $100.
Yeah, Chris will pay $100 for handy.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Well, that's actually a part of it. I don't know if you read the whole the small print in that, but Bush actually jacks off on the lyric sheet too, so you get also his thumbprints along with his handwritten lyrics. Yeah, something Bush feels the fans deserve it.
You get a little DNA sample along with your money there, Chris.
Well, you know what? And I might have to look and see if there's a tip jar available for that.
There you go. You might have to throw in an extra for that.
Yeah, well, you know what? I just might.
Nice. Well, Bob, what's the latest on your current venture with the thrash metal scene? How's that going for you?
Well, the Rise of LA Thrash Metal is being edited as we speak, and that'll be I'd say spring 2017. And then the San Francisco, I know we talked about the San Francisco being thrash, but as later we had talked, it's not going to all be thrash. We didn't know how we were going to do the San Francisco, if we're going to do it in 2 movies or whatever, but it'll probably be 1 movie. It might be a 2-volume movie, depending on once we get to editing. We haven't even started the editing yet, but as far as how much footage we have, but we're going to have that movie just about the San Francisco hard rock and metal scene, which will include the thrash bands, the Death Angels, the Testaments, Exodus, all those bands, along with bands like Vane and Head On and Anvil Chorus and Heathen and Law's Rocket, and so not just thrash, but power metal, and even some of the more glammier bands, Jet Boy. So, yeah.
Right. No, dude, I can't wait for that one. I mean, not just because I'm in it, hopefully, but, dude, that's my shit. San Francisco
It's going to be good. I think it's going to be really good because, I had, John Sternansky help me out with interviews because, to be honest, I didn't really want to do it because, being like a purist, even though I knew all about that scene when I was in L.A., I had Ron Quintana and all these people sending me demos of all those bands and even, just underground stuff, Anvil Chorus and Broke His Helm and all this other stuff. So I knew about all those bands, but I didn't live in the Bay Area. I wanted someone with that sense. So Sternansky is a co-producer on this with me, and Ron Quintana's been helped immensely, and he's like the king of San Francisco metal. And he worked, did Metal Mania magazine and KUSF. And so, we got some really authentic people who had, lived that scene more than anyone else in the Bay Area, a part of this. So that definitely made all the difference, I think.
What years are we talking about?
Well, it's going to stretch. Again, when I did this, we kind of plopped the dates on after. We just kind of put it together and we kind of saw what made sense. So,
okay,
it's looking like this is just going to pretty much all be 80s. Because it gets into we talked to Forbidden, and they were like really toward the end of the 80s. Craig Cicero, who's fantastic. He's helped out, enormously on this, and so we get into the tail end of the thrash, and we barely touch on. We didn't interview any of the bands because I didn't want to get into that whole funk metal thing of Primus and Faith No More. And, I love Faith No More, but that's kind of a whole different thing, and that was more 90s. I mean, I know all the people talk about, the guys in the band being around, the drummer. What's the drummer's name?
Mike Borden.
Mike Borden, yeah, Mike Borden. Yeah. He was around, he was like an old school metalhead, traded tapes and all that from the early 80s, so he was... so there's a little bit of talk about that kind of stuff, but we didn't really get into the whole 90s bit of it. So it's pretty much runs from the 80s, and we didn't get too far into the 70s. It kind of starts out with, how Y&T came out, and, we didn't get into like Journey and Santana or any of that. It's not going to be like Pioneers where we started from 75 going forward. So it's going to be pretty much a decade of the 80s.
See, that's going to rock. That's such a good time. And I mean, as I've told you many times, living out there from, 89 to 91, catching the tail end of all that stuff when it was totally exploding, just such a good time, dude. Just going out to the Omni or the Stone. I mean, I used to go out. I lived at Fort Ord, right there in Marina or whatever. It's an hour away. And every single Friday or Saturday, one or the other, I was up at the Omni or the Stone. And I know half the time I didn't even look in the paper to see who was there. I just went. And you would go, and I mean, one night it would be like the organization to be playing, the side project of the
Death Angel
guys. And then the next week it would be, Violence or Nuclear Assault or whoever, and there was so many. And then a lot of times, my cousin used to work security at the Warfield, and he used to always call me during the week. He'd be like, dude, you got to come up here this week. There's a band, they're calling themselves the Victory Twins or whatever, and that's really Guns N' Roses doing a warm-up gig, or Metallica used to do that, or Megadeth used to do it.
Sure.
There was so much shit going on at that time. It was like, man, this is incredible. It was just a great time.
Again, being in the right place at the right time, and you kind of take it for granted, but it's like, man, I mean, just going back to all the concerts I've seen, and I wish I was so young in that era. We had many times we were going to go out with the Metallica guys. My one of my best friends, Pat Scott, he and Lars were like, best buddies, and we were going to go up there with them in their first few shows, but we just, never were able to afford it. We were like 17, 18, and, going to San Francisco then was expensive, and so we just never made it out in those early eras. I made it out later with Heat and all that. When I worked at Roadrunner, I would go out there on weekends, and that was probably around the same time you were there, around 91 or so. But, it was great. I mean, the thing about the difference with L.A., and the Bay Area when it came to thrash is by the time Slayer and all these bands got big and thrash became something, in LA it became a big crossover thing. All the punks started getting into thrash. All these punk gangs started getting into thrash. And this is what's explored in this next movie, Rise of LA Thrash Metal. It became, you had the Circle One, you had the Suicidals, you had the Lads, you had all these punk gangs, and they were violent as fuck. And so they were getting banned. I mean, you couldn't have thrash shows in Hollywood, or they were playing Watts. Literally, they were playing South Central LA. They were playing Spencer's Ballroom, a seedy part of Long Beach. They were playing all these outskirts in Pico Rivera and East LA, and so it was always pushed under the table. But there were huge shows and all that. The thing with the Bay Area is, I think the whole clubs, it was just a big community. I mean, all the clubs. And that's what they talk about in the Bay Area. And once we get into the promoters and all that, and they were just so helpful. You had the Debbie Bonos and all these, people that were older. They were like mothers, but they were like, mothers to all these thrash kids. And it was acceptable. You had KUSF, that Ron Quintana station that, San Francisco is so small geographically. Even the small little college station got out to everyone in the city. So everyone knew where everything was going on in L.A. It's just so spread apart. I was in Orange County at that time, and, there was a handful of Orange County guys, and you had your people in, the Valley, like the Brian Slagle, John Cornarins, John Sutherland, all the metal guys, people in Torrance. But, these were all people that were, 50 miles apart, So, we had our shows in Orange County we went to. They had their shows in their Valley. There were shows in, where Neely was in San Bernardino. L.A. was just so spread apart, where I think San Francisco was just more of a unified thing. And if there was a big show in San Francisco, everyone congregated. And it would be at the Omni or the Stone, major places in the city, whereas the thrash shows in L.A., I wouldn't even go. I mean, I wouldn't go down to fucking the Balboa Theater. And, I mean, people are getting shot and shit. I'm not going to go down to Iguanas in fucking Tijuana, Mexico. That's where a lot of thrash bands were playing, So it was, it was even Fender's Ballroom. I went to a couple of shows at Fender's or the Olympic Auditorium. It's like, fuck this, dude. I'm not, this is just getting too violent, So,
dude, San Francisco there was about, I don't know, I would say 4 or 5 clubs that you could go to any night of the week and see the stuff. And then the big bands would always play at the, across the bridge at the Coliseum. So literally you could plan, if religiously I would go to the big shows at the Coliseum. Oh, whatever the big bands at the moment were, Anthrax, Metallica, whatever, would play at the Coliseum, or whatever that little building is next to the Coliseum would be the ones that were
the
like
Cow Palace?
Yeah.
The Cow Palace was the big place, yeah.
Yeah, the Cow Palace or Shoreline or, those places.
Sure.
But if you went up there for a Saturday show, a Saturday Metallica show, you went up on Friday, because everybody would come out of the woodwork and they would be in the Stone, the Omni, whatever club. And and the thing that was so cool, especially about the Omni, more than the Stone, more than anywhere I've ever been, even to this day, you would go into the Omni, and as you walked in, the person checking you in or whatever would be like, hey, there's guys here from Faith No More, who you pointed out was one, or Zakk Wylde's over there, or whatever. They would tell you who was there, and they would say, but don't fuck with them. Just kind of leave them go, let them do their thing. But you could kind of hang out with the bands.
Sure.
And that was something that, for me, as a kid, I was, 19 or 20 at that time. As a 20-year-old, I'm going in there and I'm fucking sitting at the bar drinking beers with Zakk Wylde, or I'm sitting there with Jim Martin and Mike Patton having a beer. Dude, that was the
That's
greatest shit in the world.
Yeah, that's how L.A. was in the early 80s. And then when L.A. got so commercialized and MTV and all the bands started coming out to L.A. trying to make it, it got stupid. And I mean, because back in the day, you would see people, there was this bar area, Troubadour was the place. And say from 81 to 83, 84, everyone played there. And, you know, even after Motley Crue made it, they would just all be in the bar area there, and all these people would be hanging out, you know, and you could just, hey, what's up? And the Rainbow, I mean, you would hang out at the Rainbow. Dio would be hanging out there, you know, or, I mean, you know, and then after, the only one that still stuck around was Lemmy, you know, and they had to, at that point, they had to tell people, you know, don't bother Lemmy. But back in the day, Lemmy would be hanging out, hey, what's up? And everyone was cool about it. They weren't, you know, looking for autographs or whatever. I mean, I would go there all the time. I would see John Entwistle at a table with, and then at the next table is Rick Rubin, and at the next table so-and-so, and after that, you know, and it was just like every single table had like a rock star, but it was kind of, everyone knew when you were there, you don't fuck with anyone. They come here to eat and party and maybe get a blowjob or whatever, you know, but
right.
It was just, you know, it's just kind of like you do your thing, and, you know, there was this respect value of it, and I think it just got blown out of proportion, but it seems like San Francisco kind of carried that on into the, you know, late 80s and early 90s, as you're saying.
Right.
Where people could do that, you know.
It was such a good time, dude. It kind of, you know, like last night I was out at Anthrax and Slayer and Death Angel. They were here last night. And great show, but I mean, you didn't see anybody. You know, the bands hit the stage and then they're gone. And that's it. And
but you know, the other thing is it really fucked everything up. For one, when cell phones came out, and people could record shows and videotape everything, and then you have the internet and all these, you know, website, you know, Blabbermouth and all this, and, you know, don't get me wrong, I love Blabbermouth, I love what Boy does, but people use that as a platform. Anything that anyone has, boom, it's going to go up there the next day, you know, so... Fans know that. I mean, and they don't want to take the risk of some guy, you know, kissing them off or whatever, and then another guy filming it, and then it gets all over the news, and, you know, it's fucked up. It's a really fucked up time, I think, for bands where it's never going to be the same, and it can't be the same because of the technology. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, people would have the freedom before I was talking to my buddy, who's, you know, manager at the, you know, the strip clubs. And I remember, you know, DJing at a lot of strip clubs. And you would see crew. I mean, about like Crazy Girls, all the rock stars used to come in back in the day. You know, they were all hang out. It didn't matter. They'd get lap dances, table dances, as soon as, and even when cell phones first came out or the camera phones, if they caught anybody with a phone, that pull the phone out, the bouncers would be all over them. Nowadays, everyone's got it's just you can't control it. So there's like no rules. Anyone could. So nobody shows up anymore. No one will show up at risk getting in some fucking tabloid or internet. You know, I mean, before all you had to worry about is the Star or whatever, you know, actual paper tabloid that was out. Now there's all these with TMZ and all the internet shit. You know, you get something the next day it's posted online, or 30 seconds later it's posted on somebody's Facebook page, you know, and so you're never going to get back to that, and that's ruined, you know, the music business, the film business, and everything. Where you're not going to, you know, celebrities, whether you're a rock star, or movie star, or whatever, you don't have the freedom to go around like you used to, you know, and it kind of sucks, and it kind of sucks for the fans that, you know, you just want to mingle and hang out. I mean, I remember back in the day, hanging out with I don't know if you remember the Cat Fiddle. You remember the Cat Fiddle?
Yeah.
In L.A. They closed that place down too about a year or two ago, and that was a place when the Rainbow got kind of over commercialized. Cat Fiddle was still the place. I mean, we did an hour-long interview with Ian Gillan at the table, and this was like '98. Drinking pints of beer, eating. Not one person came up to him. I don't think anyone recognized him. He had his hair back, and, you know, again, Deep Purple wasn't in the 90s that big out there, but we hung out with him all night. You know, I hung out with Slash came over to me, and we talked for like a half hour. Slash and I, it was like a Tuesday night at the Cat Fiddle early. There was only a few people there. Not a single person came came up or like bothered us, that shit doesn't happen anymore, you know. And it was just cool. It's like, wow, you know, you could talk to a rock star without, you know, people hounding for autograph, or people, look, can I get a picture of you? Can I get a picture? You know, those days are done.
Yeah, well, I could hardly, you know, enjoy my time out there back in June during the screenings of the Inside Metal because of all the people hoarding you know, the whole time we were out there. It was ridiculous.
Is that a joke, or were they hoarding me?
It's like, there's that Bob Nalbandian. Hurry up, get a picture. Get a picture.
Of course. That was a fun thing. I just wish it wasn't such a clusterfuck there, and it was a better atmosphere like the first time we had it there, because there were a lot of cool people. A lot of people left early because they couldn't have a seat or whatever, and you know, it's a shame, you know, because I don't want to get into it, but they really fucked things up there. It kind of pissed me off.
Well, we did get to go have breakfast afterwards and see the swishy waiters.
That's right. You'll always be talking about that, Neely. I'm going to send them over to your doorstep, just to entertain you, so you could have. I think you're like secretly in love with these guys.
I'm just amazed at how many of them there are.
You know what, dude? To me, it didn't even faze me until you were saying, dude, what about the other night? And I'm thinking, oh yeah, it took them fucking forever to get us our food. And you're like, no, not that. And I go, well, I mean, it's to me, it's whatever, normal, you know.
Sure.
As long as they don't, you know.
Well, that's because I'm a bigot homophobe, and I'm in that I'm in that basket of deplorables that Hillary Clinton mentioned today.
That's right. Hey, dude! Before you get into that and homophobes and all these words, please give me a trigger warning. You're hurting my feelings, man. I want to be prepared when you say words like homophobe and all that. It makes me very unsettling. I'm going to have to go now, guys. I just don't.
Gotta go to your safe space.
I got to go to my safe space, man. You didn't give me that goddamn trigger warning.
Right.
Damn it, Neely.
I know. I was being very insensitive.
You are an insensitive cock.
I am.
Indeed. So, any interviews or anyone else calling in today? Dude, I love that interview, and I thought that guy was fantastic. The guy from Black Hollows Matter.
Yeah, I got a shirt. I got a shirt this week. Yeah, I got a shirt this week. Yep.
I hope you sent him a CMS shirt.
I did. I sent it. And he should have got it today.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool that he called in your show, and that he's a total metal guy. And not even into the, you know, career. I mean, he was talking about fight bands like that, which was cool.
Mm-hmm. And the coolest thing is he reached out to us.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Because I remember you guys were talking about, yeah, we should get him on the show. We should get him on. And then he ended up finding out about you guys. So
yeah, he sent us an email.
He sent us of the CMS.
Absolutely. So we were glad to have him on, and he was a good dude, and he enjoyed the show, and he seems to like what we do, so that's cool with us.
Right on.
Because we all know Black Olives matter.
Absolutely.
All right, Bob. Well, what is the official release? Are these two episodes out now? As the LA Metal Scene explodes, is that now available for consumption?
Yep, DVD 1 and DVD 2 are both out, and they're sold separately. You could get them at Amazon and Amazon Prime. You could stream them both. Google Play, you could stream them both. iTunes, I don't know if number 2 is on iTunes yet. If not, it's going to be getting on there real soon. I know the first part 1 is. And we're, you know, my cousin said he saw it on some cable show or some one of those like UTV, Universal TV. He said they showed it on there. So I know it's going to be showing up on Access, and it's going to be going to pay-per-view, I believe, in October. So just check your cable outlets, and you can get it, order it, you know, for pay-per-view. I think for like $3.99 or something. And it's supposed to be going on to Access TV. It's on Night Flight if you have the Roku. Have you checked that out, that Night Flight show, Chris? That'd be something both you guys would be into.
I added it, and it is now getting some play.
Oh, cool. Yeah, because if it's anything like it was back in the day, that was a great cable show back in the, what was that, Neely? Late 80s, early 90s? It was on USA Network?
Yeah, it was definitely, I think it was early 90s.
Yeah, great stuff. So it's on there. So yeah, just look for it. Just Google it. LA Metal Scene Explodes, and do me a favor. Get if you like it, or if you want to comment about it, or even if you don't like it, review it. But give your comments onto iTunes and Amazon and any other network. That definitely helps. To get the comments up there. And, check it out, man. And then I'm hoping, like I said, spring of 2017, we should have the Rise of LA Thrash Metal. And then the San Francisco one will probably be out later next year because we're going to kind of, separate them a bit. But we are actually pretty much done with the interviews. I believe Danny Shipman's going to be interviewing Tom Hunting, which will be probably our last, one of our last of the interviews. So we definitely got to get more Exodus in this. So we get him, and then I think we should be pretty well set for the interviews on this. So
cool.
There you go, gentlemen.
Excellent. Well, Bob, as much as I hate to admit it, we are already heading into fall. Here we are into September. There's only 3 more months left in this year, and then it'll be NAMM in January.
God damn, that's true, huh?
So I plan on. I'm going to come out for that. That's for there's no two ways about it.
Very cool. Well, we're going to. I'm going to talk to Toby. He's once he's been working on his house. They've been expanding their house, so they had to move out into an apartment for a few months. But it's going to be ready by November. So once he gets that situated, he'll have a lot more time. And so we'll probably get a place at the Hilton or something again. And we'll definitely party down. It'll be fun.
Excellent. All right,
Very
Bob.
Cool.
Well, I'm
and
glad.
And then, of course, we might have to wait till next year before Chris Aiken comes out and we have that dirt clod fight with the Bay Boys. But, it'll happen. It'll definitely happen.
I'm in, Bob. I'm in for that.
Very cool. All right, gentlemen.
All right, well, Bob, thanks for bringing us all up to date with the Inside Metal and the Inside Metal. LA Metal Scene Explodes, parts 1 and 2 are now available, so go get them.
Yeah.
Well, thank you much. And Neely, watch out with those fucking trigger warnings. Fuck you, pal, and hand job.
There goes Bob. Well, I think that deserves some Testament. What do you think?
I'm in for that.
Here's some Souls of Black. It's Testament exclusively here
on your Classic Metal Show.
Hey, this is Chuck Kelly from Testament. Want to congratulate the Classic Metal Show for 20 years of rockin'.